Recording. So I see we have a good group already. People. Hey Debbie. Hey Kevin. Hey Kevin. Two Kevins. Um, we'll give maybe another 30 seconds and then we'll kind of jump into the presentation. All right. So I'm sure more people will be trickling in, but we'll start so we can be as prompt, and then I can get to any questions at the tail end. Obviously, if anything does pop up, feel free to share, through the chat, any questions that you have. We'll be looking at that. But today, literally, we're going to be covering how accounting firms should be leveraging Clockwork for advisory services, and quite honestly, why advisory services and how advisory services need to be leveraged in general. So I'm sure all you know, but I'll kind of start with the initial Clockwork understanding. So let me go ahead, and I created a little presentation for us. Let me share that. Share. Share and share. Okay. So when you guys are looking at, Clockwork, like Clockwork was invented from my outsourced accounting firm, my outsourced CFO firm. So I was an advisor for clients. All my clients were 1 to 30 million in revenue, seed, Series A, Series B companies, but some of them were mom and pop shops. And quite honestly, Clockwork was born only because my advisory firm was born out of demand, out of necessity. People kept asking me for very simple, questions like, how do I build a financial model? How do I know how much money we're going to make this year? How do I know how much money we're going to make next year? How do I know how much money we made last year without wanting to log into QBO? And so, quite honestly, creation of my advisory firm was strictly because people kept asking me. And as the token finance guy, I kept building them models and doing all that stuff for free. And I was like, well, I should be able to charge for this. So that's why my outsourced CFO firm was born, but that's also why Clockwork was born. So when I was an outsourced CFO, I was building all these models, and I'm like, there's no way there's not a technology to do this for me. I scaled my firm up to 8 employees over 5 years, and we had over 100 active clients on monthly retainers. We only did monthly retainer work. I completely got rid of project-based work, probably about 6 months into the firm itself, and we can talk about that as well. But building models and building Excel, not standardized, increased human error. My clients would always say, whenever they got handed over to one of my outsourced CFO companies or professionals, they'll always say, well, this isn't the financial model that I'm used to. This isn't the Fady financial model. This isn't the one that was built for me from the jump. So I would always say, okay, well, how do we standardize this? And I would try and train my new people on how to build the financial model my way. Having been at Boeing, having done oil and gas consulting, I've had significant experience building models. And so not everyone has their own, everyone has their own flavor, so everyone has their own style, but I had to make sure that they knew how to do it the way that I did it and my clients wanted it. And so I kept trying to find a solution. Nothing was there. And it was very frustrating for me. And I was literally a paying user of all of my competitors now. And you could tell they weren't built by CFOs. And that's really where Clockwork came from. And that's why Clockwork has continued to be the role that it is. So for us, for accounting firms that prioritize advisory services, Clockwork is the FP&A solution that gets clients results in minutes because it was built by professionals for professionals. That's our mission statement. That's exactly who we're for, what we do. We only work with accounting firms, smaller and medium-sized accounting firms. That's literally our bread and butter, to make sure that you guys get the advisory services on training wheels, essentially, is what it's kind of become to be. So these are the things that we're solving for, right? The problems are building financial models living in Excel or living in Google Sheets takes tons of time. And if anyone has actually built one themselves, they know that I mean, I was taking a minimum 20 hours a month. Some models and some clients are a lot more simple, so they'll kind of 10 to 20 is usually the range that we see for how long it takes to build a model. And we're talking a financial model, right? Not just projections. And so when I talk about what Clockwork is as an FP&A solution, right? It's a financial planning and analysis solution. It's not just cash flow forecasts, not just financial projections, not just metrics, not just scenarios, right? Clockwork encompasses every aspect of it, from your dashboards to your financial models, to your cash flow forecasts, to your headcount planning, to your balance sheet forecasts, to your metrics dashboards, to your scenario planners. It literally houses everything, right? That's what a true FP&A platform is and does. When you look at existing solutions, they say they're FP&A, they say they're modeling, they say they're this, but if you're only doing an aspect of it, that's not accurate. And that was one of my biggest gripes with all the solutions that I tried. And so when we say that Clockwork is building financial models that take 10 to 20 hours, it's not just projections, right? It's not just cash flow forecasts. You're actually doing the whole suite of FP&A. And that's just getting things started. And so what we hear from a lot of firms is if they do have financial modeling as a service, they have a template that they use, right? They built a financial model template, they downloaded a template, they paid for a template to be built for them to use it. Templates are the worst way that you can go about building financial models, but I won't be on that soapbox too much. Taking a sunk cost fallacy, sunk cost mindset for financial models and being like, well, I already took the time and I built this template and now it only takes me a couple hours to maintain it. That's so inefficient, so ineffective. And quite honestly, your clients aren't getting the most value that they should be getting because you built this template thinking that it could be universal, but it's not. Financial models are all custom. They need to all be custom. So Clockwork is building everything custom from scratch. And that's really one of the biggest reasons why is because we can't standardize financial modeling unless it's custom. And so what I mean by that is upon account creation, you're pulling the P&L, you're pulling the balance sheet, you're pulling the chart of accounts, you're actually building all the stuff based on their accounting system. And if you're not doing that, then it's not a real accurate customized financial model. You may be able to plug and play some stuff, but having completely custom financial models is why clients will pay you $5,000 a month, 10 grand a month, 15 grand a month. When I started my advisory firm, my retainer was $3,000 a month. By the time I shut down my firm to go full-time on Clockwork, my minimum was 12,500. So, and that's a month per client, right? And so we were doing all this stuff, and a lot of my time was built around this. But what eventually became Clockwork 1.0 was my financial model process for all my clients. And I was doing it manually, so we automated it, and that's where Clockwork 1.0 came from. So the biggest thing is updating the actuals, right? A lot of people say, well, it doesn't take much time. I'll build the account, but then every month, da da da. If you're updating actuals, you're probably spending 2 to 3 hours a month per client. Yeah, that's not a big deal. But when your client wants to add something to their chart of accounts, wants to remove something from their chart of accounts, wants to see a new scenario, wants to see what a new product would do, what launching into a new market will do, that takes a ton of time. And if you ever try and update a template in Excel, you add new one row, it's going to offset all the formulas that you're referencing for those specific cells. You'll get a bunch of hashtag values, you'll get a bunch of errors, and it's a nightmare to try and hunt and peck and figure it out. So all that time, you can't really be monetizing as much as possible and being as efficient. It's all about driving up utilization, all about being profitable so you can provide a better service for your clients. I mean, that's literally why we're all here, is to provide the best service for your clients, but it's also to make money, make a living, and actually be able to grow your firm without burning a ton of money. So when you look at kind of the firms, you have clients, everyone on this call has clients that they don't make that much money on, and they're very, very small, but they're asking for more stuff, and you simply don't charge them enough to do the work that they're asking, but you still know that they need it, right? Clockwork is the perfect solution for immediately knocking all those out of the park, right? If you have 20 clients that are kind of just floating around, they're there, throw them on Clockwork, and Clockwork does the advisory work for you, right? Your clients will think that it took you 20 hours to build their account. They don't know that it took literally 3 minutes to integrate into their QBO or Zero or QB desktop, and then they're up and running, right? So when you look at the grand scheme of things of in your firm, you may have 20, 30, 40, 50 bookkeepers. And if you're going into advisory, you may have one person that does advisory, two or maybe three, if you're lucky, that do advisory. But finding people to come in and actually do proper advisory services is very difficult. But it's way easier to train people to do advisory when the technical finance stuff, like building the forecasts, the projections, the models, the balance sheets, the metrics, all that's taken care of. And so that's really where we have found a ton of value in, is building that advisory training package in a box and allowing our clients, our partners, to immediately have 50 advisors when they initially could only have one or two. And you can't go and hire, advisors. They don't grow them on trees. The high quality CFO type advisors. And you guys all know we all deal with burnout with our employees and our team members, even with our clients, right? If you keep making them do stuff that they don't like to do, they will be burnt out. It doesn't matter what role they're in. And the easiest way now, Clockwork's the first AI powered financial modeling software, right? I thought of AI powered modeling back in 2018, before people were like thinking about it. And every single person was like, you're crazy. There's no way that's possible. Now, here we are in 2024, and we've been building and perfecting our AI for all that time. And so it really is how we're creating accounts in minutes. It's how the out-of-the-box forecasts that Clockwork builds for you are so good, right? It's because we've been building AI for a long time and perfecting it. And so when you get to not only take advantage of the AI that exists, and it's the best AI because it's been around and it's actually learned, but two, it allows you to be this innovative firm. Everyone always talks about innovative firms, innovative firms, innovative firms. Using AI in your offering will allow you to be an innovative firm. And you can go and sign more clients because you are innovative. You are using technology. 5 years ago, the tech stack was Gusto and QuickBooks Online or Zero, right? That was like, oh my gosh, if you have a tech stack of payroll and a general ledger like QBO or Zero, you are 90% better than anyone else in the industry because you're using technology. Now everyone's on QBO or Zero, everyone's on Gusto or Rippling, and now that next piece of that tech stack is the FP&A tool. And Clockwork is the easiest one to get up and running on. So when you look at scaling your firm, not only from a marketing perspective, but from a employee retention perspective and a employee attraction perspective, your prospective team members will want to know that you use AI. They'll want to know that you use technology. We wrote a piece the other day that released on a blog of how AI won't replace accountants, but accountants will be replaced by accountants that use AI. And so this gives you a significant firm advantage in moving that up. And you need to scale advisory services, because bookkeeping and month-end close reporting and all that kind of stuff, it's of the past, right? Those are all transactional. Those are all commoditized services, right? Now you can find a software that does month-end close. Does it do as good at what you do? Probably not. But guess what? There's a software for it. There's no software for advisory services. Advisory services is that service, that type of thing that I don't care how good, and this is coming from an AI tech CEO, I don't care how good your advisory AI is, it'll never replace advisory services from a person, because there's a lot more that comes to it. And so it allows you guys to scale your advisory services and get out of the commoditized pricing, the bookkeeping, the month-end close, all that kind of stuff, and offer that higher level service because A, your clients are looking for it, they're asking for it, and B, your firm needs it. You need to move up market and provide the higher value services. And when you look at the actual, all the research that the CPA.com, the AICPA, all the different organizations are doing, client accounting and advisory services, they call it CAS, client advisory services. There's 7 million different ways that you can name it. But it's the fastest growing division of any accounting firm, whether they're tiny firms or large firms. It's by far the fastest growing service. But firms are breaking because they can't scale the service. And so the best way to scale anything is with technology. And so that's really where you kind of come into and structure it around Clockwork. And so Clockwork, when you build the account, it's building everything from scratch, right? And this has always been a very, very complex thing to kind of explain because of how easy it is to use. You integrate, your account is built from scratch for every client that you have immediately. It's pulling in transactional data and showing you every aspect of that account immediately, right? Customized, completely out of the box the second you create the account. So now people always ask, okay, well, this is great. Now what? Now what is asking your clients, what do you want to do for your company? How do you make money? How do you spend money? What levers do you want to have in your grasp to be able to plan things on the fly? What are the what if assumptions, what if scenarios that you want to build for your company, for your employees, for your team, for your market, for your product, whatever it may be? And we always get asked all the time, they're like, well, my clients are predominantly in this industry, or this, they're SaaS companies, or they're professional services, or they're medical companies, or whatever it may be. It doesn't matter because Clockwork builds everything from scratch. There's no template that you're being shoved into. And so a lot of the solutions that exist, they're templatized. They're literally templated accounts that you select the industry when you create it, and then bam, you get thrown into this template. Clockwork builds everything from scratch. So your chart of accounts, there's no account mapping, right? And so getting your clients into the account right off the bat is a very easy way to add value immediately with very little time, because you guys all know, and if you've created accounts, if your current Clockwork partners, you guys know it takes literal minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes to create an account, and all you do is integrate. Clockwork will build everything for you. So having that conversation with your client and literally just showing them the model, your clients will be blown away and they'll think that it took you so long to just build this. But you get to have those higher level conversations by asking them, what do you actually want to have control over when you are building your business and you're navigating the economic uncertainties or anything like that? Because then you build that structure here in Clockwork. Clockwork updates updates every hour out of QBO. I think now we're every day, but it updates all the time. So you're never going to have to update actuals. You're never going to have to add a new row for your chart of accounts. If you're cleaning up the chart of accounts, the best way that you can see what you need to clean up is create the Clockwork account and go in there. Because if you try and have your client look through a P&L or even look at a P&L from QBO, one, they're ugly, and two, they're unformatted out of when you export to Excel. So you have to reformat them and do all that kind of stuff. Now you don't have to. So it allows you to have those more strategic conversations out of the box immediately with your clients. And you tell them, this is what your actual P&L looks like. And then there are a lot of times, kind of a tertiary benefit of Clockwork was, well, I didn't know it was this bad. And I guarantee you guys have had multiple conversations with your clients to clean up their chart of accounts, clean up their accounts, clean up their books, clean up their kind of stuff. The best way to do it is literally just show it to them and be like, listen, this is what it looks like. And you can, in Clockwork, hide certain accounts, remove certain accounts, group them, change them, kind of change the layout of what the chart of accounts looks like. And then your clients will be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that it could be that simple, or we could plan it at that level. So it allows you to have those conversations within minutes, right? This is the first conversation that you can have with a client, is literally just looking at their financial model. And the financial model is literally one of the 9 modules that Clockwork has. And that's right out of the box. And so a lot of your initial rollout will be just having your client understand the customization of what they have as is. Then you obviously look into cash flow, right? Cash flow, Clockwork's the only tool that does it weekly. I've always been kind of flabbergasted at why systems don't do weekly cash flow forecasting. Because if you're running a business and you're doing outsourced advisory work, outsourced CFO work, your clients will expect weekly cash flow forecast. And usually the answer on why they can't do weekly is because they don't have the time. They don't have the expertise, because it takes a lot of time. When I was the CFO of a Series A company, healthcare company, it was taking me probably 5 hours a week just to update our weekly cash flow forecast before Clockwork. And that's me, making $200,000 a year as the CFO of this company. And I'm spending literally 20 hours a month updating a cash flow forecast. So Clockwork does it for you out of the box, gives you a weekly and a monthly. So it actually learns based on what's been happening on a transactional level. So it's doing what I did as a CFO and building it for you automatically. And it looks at every single outstanding and upcoming invoice and bill that you have. So if your bills are in QBO or Xero, or if you use bill.com and they're integrated through there, whatever aspect of it, Clockwork is pulling every single one and showing it to you. A lot of times, again, another tertiary benefit that Clockwork is getting, and we hear this from our partners all the time, their clients never knew how much they had sitting in uncollected invoices. So if your clients are in a cash flow crunch, the easiest thing to do, the number one thing you should be doing is, who owes you money and how can we collect on that? Go to Clockwork instead of going into QBO, pulling the report, the aging, the receivables, all that kind of stuff. No one's going to actually be able to look at that. Then you can't update that and say, okay, if they pay us on this day, then this is what they don't, you can't do that. In Clockwork, you can do that. You pull it, it will automatically show you all the invoices that are outstanding, all the bills that are outstanding, and you can now customize it. And you can say, oh, I talked to this specific customer on this specific invoice. They owe us this much. They are going to pay us now in 2 weeks. And you literally click the calendar button, you click 2 weeks, and bam, your entire cash flow forecast is recalculated, assuming that invoice gets paid on that specific day. That used to take me 10 hours just to be able to have that kind of flexibility and customization in the cash flow forecast. Clockwork does it for you automatically. Then when that invoice gets paid, you'll see it, and it'll go into your actuals. Same thing on the bill side. One of the name of the game with cash flow is how quickly can you get paid? How late can you pay out? That's the name of the game. How quickly can you get paid on invoices? And then bills. What bills can you afford to kick out? Easiest way is literally go to the cash flow forecast, click on bills, and then kick out some payments. Say, okay, expected payment date is not going to be on the net 30 that it is. It's going to be on net 45. You kick it out 15 days. You'll see what impact that has on your cash flow forecast in real time, right? You're updating it, you hit save, and it automatically recalculates your entire cash flow forecast. So having these conversations with your clients is extremely valuable, where they can actually see things and then you can do it for them on the screen. You can even share your screen with them, create a Loom video, a quick little 5-minute Loom video of just walking them through, hey, you told me that this and this and this, if we get paid on X, Y, and Z, this is what it means for you. You guys can do that in real time in Clockwork, right? So again, it elevates the conversation with your clients for advisory services. And so that's just on the financial model and just on the cash flow forecast. And we're not even talking about all the stuff on the balance sheet that touches the cash flow forecast. Like, you can actually model out what an additional loan would look like, what a fundraise would look like, what payment terms would look like on any interest that you have, on anything that touches your balance sheet. You can model that out on the cash flow forecast. And again, this is kind of stuff like most companies, A, don't even have a balance sheet forecast, and B, they don't even update it if they have one. I mean, I know when I was the CFO, my priority was the financial model and cash flow forecast. I wasn't updating the balance sheet forecast unless I was going to talk to the bank or we were doing another fundraise. Clockwork updates it automatically in real time, and you'll always have a 12-month running cash flow balance sheet forecast. So you can always be planning this kinds of stuff on the cash flow forecast in real time, elevating that conversation with your client, because then this is not stuff that a bookkeeper, no offense, does. If anyone here is bookkeeper, right? Like this is not bookkeeper type stuff. This is CFO level type stuff. Having the complete levers on cash flow, this is all CFO type stuff. Then the other thing is like scenarios. I think that's always been one of the most interesting things with my clients. They would always ask me, what if we did this? And what if we did this? And what if I hired someone? What if I fired someone? What if blah, 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 blah. I'd go back and I'd build them, a financial model scenario, looking at the baseline and doing all this kind of stuff. Probably take 20 hours to go and build that. And I'll send it to them and say, okay, hey, this is what happens if you hire that team or fire that team or do whatever. Then they'll come back to me and be like, okay, awesome. What if we did this now? It's like, well, I wish you told me all those different variables off the bat, because then I could have incorporated it all. So then you go back and you take another 20 hours and you rebuild with all the different things. That back and forth doesn't need to happen anymore, right? You can legitimately build scenarios in Clockwork on the fly. If you want to do an on a conversation with your client, you can do that. If your client shoots you an email and says, hey, what if we did this, it'll take you 5 minutes to customize the scenario and build it. And you'll have the variance view of your baseline financial model, the variance view of your actuals, and the variance view of your scenario all on one, all together. So again, elevating that conversation that you have with your clients to service advisory services. Your clients always, I don't care how small they are or how big they are, they always have the what ifs. Every entrepreneur, as you guys do, when you go put your head up the pillow, what if this happened, and what if this happened, and oh my gosh, is this going to go on? How do I plan for this? Da, da, da. Every single person has that structure. So your clients, no matter how small they are, they always have those questions. And so if you can answer those questions for them, literally the easiest way is, what's keeping you up at night? Ask your clients that. What's keeping you up at night? How can I help answer questions that are stressing you out on your business? It'll take you 5 minutes to build a custom thing, right? That's always the biggest thing. It'll take 5 minutes. And so when you look at the actual dashboards, right? Everyone loves charts. Everyone loves all this kinds of stuff. So when you look at, thanks, Kevin. I'm glad you were able to jump in. When you look at the actual, delivery for your clients, everyone loves charts, everyone loves graphs. For Clockwork, everything is interactive, right? From the second that you create the account, you have a very interactive dashboard that's custom built for you out of the box, right? Your 12 months, we actually show 36 months of actuals on the dashboard immediately. We show you the AI calculated 5-year financial projections immediately. Those are easy conversation pieces with your clients on, hey, did you know that this is where you're heading? Or did you know that we closed this much revenue last year, or and the year before that, and the year before that? Very simple, right? And Clockwork's doing this in real time. So it's building these good looking charts and graphs and metrics and all these dashboards immediately. So when you're for everyone on here that's actually done metrics and charts and graphs in Excel, it sucks. And I used to do it because you update one thing on the chart, forget about trying to have that feed directly into the Excel chat, because into the Excel chart, then you have to go into the actual format of the chart. You have to tell what cell to reference, what cell not to reference, and all this kind of, it's a nightmare. I mean, it's extremely difficult and cumbersome. And so with the beauty of Clockwork having everything all in one is you can customize. The second you customize one thing in Clockwork, it speaks to itself. So it'll update throughout the entire thing with your metrics dashboards, with your financial dashboards, with your scenarios, with your financial projections, your cash flow forecasts. It all speaks to each other, speaks to itself. And so when you're actually being able to have these conversations with your clients, instead of taking time and let me build this interactive dashboard, let me build, oh, month end was done on the 3rd of this month. Now I have to take 2 days and go and update all the stuff and make sure it matched one for one. And let me export out of QBO or Zero. And that you don't have to do that. That completely gets knocked out of your month end close process with your clients. All you have to do is just close the books. Clockwork does the rest. It updates every single aspect of it. So now you can have that conversation with your clients. And if you don't want to have that meeting, so when I was a CFO, I would have a monthly meeting with my clients to review their financials. Then I started being like, why am I going back and playing the calendar game and figuring stuff out? And my first week of the new month or second week of the new month is always booked out with client meetings to review what happened last month and giving them my insights and da-da. I started just recording Loom videos. I'm like, okay, this is what's happening after I'll take all the time and build their models and update their charts and graphs and all that kind of stuff. Now, what a lot of our partners do in Clockwork, stop setting up meetings with your clients and playing that whole, oh, this came up and this came up and da-da-da. Stop doing that. Literally, at the end of the month, you close their books, create a 5-minute Loom video in Clockwork and send it over to them. Say, hey, listen, this is what we talked about last month. This is where you're heading. This is how you're doing it. This is where we can change. This is where we can improve. These are all the things that are going good. These are all the things that are going bad. And again, elevating that conversation with your clients. It elevates every single aspect of what you're having, what value you're delivering to your clients and for your clients. So now, whenever they think of, oh, I have an email from Michelle or Kevin or Misty or literally anyone else, they're not going to be like, oh, it's just another PDF reporting package that I'm not going to open. I mean, I would love to know how many of your clients are actually opening up the emails that you're sending them whenever it has anything to do with the actuals. My clients never did. And then I'll have a conversation with them and I'm like, I sent this to you. And they're like, oh, did you? And then they're like, oh, I don't know where. And then they look at, oh yeah, you did send it to me. It's like, yeah, I'm glad I put all my time to do all this stuff. Right. So Clockwork takes all that out, right? It removes all that back and forth on, did you see it? Did you not see it? Do you have it? Do you not have it? Da, da, da. Like Clockwork guarantees that they have it. And so if they're not looking at it, it's because they're not looking at it. It's not because you didn't deliver that value, but you get to deliver that value. And guess what? Your clients will need to pay for it regardless, right? You're still charging your clients. Your retainer is $5,000 a month, whether they look at the stuff you give them or not. So making sure that you are always elevating your value add and not commoditizing your services will maintain that level of advisorship that you continue to add to your clients. Then, again, integrations, right? Clockwork looking at every single thing at all times, right? We actually have now integrations with all the major payroll providers as well. So it's not just QBO and Zero. So if your clients are looking at their payroll, they want to have access to planning headcount, because headcount is usually the biggest cost driver for any company, a cost lever. Integrate their payroll. It's super simple. We integrate with every major payroll provider. When I was trying to do my stuff, so we used ADP when I was the CFO of that company, and most of my clients use Gusto or ADP. You have to export the reports, reformat them, feed them into your financial model, feed them into the cash flow forecast, put the taxes on the right line, estimate the taxes, estimate the benefits, estimate all the fully burdened costs, add 35% to their base salary, and then like all those assumptions that you have to build, remember to maintain. It's very cumbersome. It's very time consuming. So Clockwork now just integrate their payroll provider, and Clockwork will pull in every single aspect for every single individual employee. And it knows how much you're paying for benefits. It knows how much you're paying for taxes. You tell it which accounts go to which figures go to which accounts for benefits and fundraising or raises. You can literally build automatic annual raises in Clockwork. The customization that you'll have is extremely robust around the headcount planning. So not only do you get to integrate it and see it, but you get to customize all of it on every aspect. You can add new headcount with your existing actual headcount through the integration. So again, that updates every single day. So you're never having to go through and pull those reports and do all that kind of stuff. So when you look at offering advisory services, the real name of the game is always adding value, increasing your value offering to your clients. And so the way that you do that is by leveraging Clockwork. And I always say this, the simplest way is literally just create them a Clockwork account. You will see many conversations elevated right out of the box because they have it, because they can see it. And you can give your clients view-only access. I would recommend that you give your clients view-only access to their Clockwork account. Don't give them edit access, at least not for the first little bit, because chances are they'll break it. Even though you do have an audit log in Clockwork that captures who did what they did, and when they did it. Don't do that right off the bat. Let them get comfortable, let them see it, give them access to it, give them view-only access, and have a conversation like, hey, this is what I noticed. So what you'll do is when you create the account, you as an accounting professional will be able to see things that they will never see. So the second you create it, spend a few minutes spot checking their charts, spot checking their metrics, spot checking their financial model, for projections, for actuals, for what's coming in, what's going out. Oh my gosh, we're spending a ton of money on this specific thing. Why are we doing that? Have your own kind of audit log for what you want your clients to answer for you. Then elevate that conversation, have that conversation with your clients of, listen, this is what I need to do and how I need to do it. And your clients will actually be able to take those actionable insights that you give them with the questions that you'll be able to glean from looking at their account. Okay, that was 40 minutes of straight talking. So any questions from anyone on? You can either use the chat thing or there's a Q&A thing. You can submit questions there and ask anything, anything that you have, any kind of questions or just in general, anything you would like me to share on. And while people are typing any questions or doing any of that, the biggest thing, again, Clockwork does advisory on training wheels. So not only is it the product, right? If you guys have a difficult time having these conversations with your clients or you don't know where to start, ask us. Our team, literally, I'm a CFO, former CFO, finance guy, but our team, they're all accountants. They're all former accountants who work with accounting tech. Like there's not one member on the Clockwork success side, on the Clockwork onboarding side that wasn't an accountant in their previous life. And so we all know how to deliver advisory services, and that's always the biggest key. So if you don't know how to start with your conversations, ask us. We'll give you that. If you don't know what the additional stuff for your clients will be, ask us. Here's a question. I just started doing additional services for a client that uses classes in QBO. Does Clockwork use classes? We are literally building out our classes functionality as we speak. And that actually does bring up a good point in terms of the product. So some of the most exciting things that are happening with the product, and that's why we rescheduled it. We have rolled out consolidated forecasting last week. And today we are rolling out a partner console. So you will actually be able to log into Clockwork. You'll have a partner console for you because you're an advisor. And you'll actually be able to access all your clients from one screen and be able to switch different accounts, access different accounts, invite new users, all that from one partner login. So just like QBO and Xero, we're kind of just taking that one step further and putting it into Clockwork. And so classes will be the next thing that we're doing, and then improving the functionality on the partner console. And the other exciting thing are smart alerts. So Clockwork will actually, like we were talking about, for you guys just spot checking things, we're going to automate that. And so we'll actually give you smart alerts that will say, hey, client XYZ are doing ABC, they should check this out or da da da. We'll give you those insights automatically out of the box. And then Clockwork will, then you'll be able to have that conversation with your clients, address it and say, hey, this is addressed. We're done on this, or done on that. So those are some of the more near term. So classes is up next. After that will be the smart alerts. And then we just released the partner console and the consolidated forecasting. Looking for recommendations on how to do projections for seasonal clients. So there's two things. One is Clockwork actually has a setting now, and this was released, I think, last week, where you can tell Clockwork to use seasonality forecasting or not use seasonality forecasting. Clockwork will default to not use seasonality, but if you have clients that have seasonality in their actuals, you can actually go into the settings and tell Clockwork to start looking at seasonality and factoring that in. The other thing is when you are building out projections for seasonal clients, whether you want to do price times quantity rules or you want to do custom formulas with non-financial variables, you'll have that screen that shows every single month. And so you'll be able to kind of free type those in and build in the seasonality on that front, or you can depend on the AI seasonality to actually learn from that. And I'm obviously more than happy to walk through specific accounts if you have like examples on what clients are doing or have actual significant seasonality. And if the AI isn't good enough for it, I'll show you how to exactly do that, or me or someone from the team will be able to show you exactly how to do that, leveraging one of the formulas. So when you're looking at here, I'll actually pull up a Clockwork account and I'll show you a little more practically. When you look at, and actually as I'm logging in here, if any of you have consolidated, if you guys are existing partners and you have clients that want to consolidate companies, let me know. Let the team know, and we'll show you how to do it. So let me share my screen. So seasonality here on the financial model, you'll have the financial model. So there's a couple of different ways. One is you can come over here and you can say, if the growth rate is seasonal, you can change it here. And so you can say, okay, this is going to be 5% for the next, I don't know, 4 months, same value every month. Then it's going to be, then it's going to be 10%. And then you can tab through these and do all that kind of stuff. So you can do that. You could do quarter over quarter as well, year over year as well. Another thing here on like percentage of account, same thing. It'll open up every month. Price times quantity will open up every month. So if there's seasonality stuff, you can manually do it there. Custom formulas will be that piece where you can build in the custom variables. And so any of these kinds of things. So when you click on, it'll open up the table down here below, and you can change those figures on a monthly basis as well. And then the setting that I was referring to, go into settings, then go into model settings, and then this use seasonality forecasting. You'll just check this, and then Clockwork will actually start factoring in and building out seasonality for you. Cool. So again, any questions, please shoot them over here in the chat, or shoot us a note. If you're an existing partner, if you're not, just shoot us an email and we'll make sure that we get back to you. You can reach me at Fady@clockwork.ai, FADY@clockwork.ai. And we'll connect you with anyone on the team if it makes sense. And then I'm more than happy, obviously, to help with all of it. But the biggest thing is Clockwork is your technical finance expert. So anything that you guys need on the building of it, let me know, and we would love to help out. So thank you all for joining, and thank you all for the questions, and excited to help every single person on here. So thank you all. We'll send a recording of this out for everyone, and we will talk soon. Thanks.